Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
This episode is brought to you by Skinny Pop Popcorn. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Oh, so light and crunchy. Skinny Pop Original Popcorn is the snack you've been searching for. Made with just 3 simple ingredients: popcorn kernels, sunflower oil, and salt. Snacking never felt or tasted so good. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Give yourself permission to snack and pick up Skinny Pop Original Popcorn today.
Because in some minds, if you don't have the money for it, maybe you don't have a $1,400 wedding dress.
I mean, we were going to charge it and...
Yes.
These are the plaintiffs, Karen and Mark Massinio. Karen says she and Mark loaned the defendant money for a wedding venue because she was marrying a guy named Shy, who was like a son to them. Turns out, right after marrying Shy, the defendant ran away with all the wedding money. She didn't pay them back for the $1,766.17 they loaned her. And this woman needs to be taught a big lesson on how to conduct one's life. So they're suing her. This is the defendant, Bailey. She says her ex-husband, Shy, paid the plaintiffs off, and she has the credit card statements to prove it. Shy was the one who stole all of the wedding money. She's suing Shy to try to get half of it, and she wishes she never got involved with this wacky family in the first place. She's accused of stiffing her ex-in-laws.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. and Mrs. Massinio, tell me what happened in this case. Go ahead.
Okay, we got a phone call from the defendant and her fiance saying that they couldn't afford the last payment for the venue for their wedding. So they wanted to know if we could help them out.
How long had they been dating?
Oh, I don't know.
How long had you been dating?
3.5 years.
Okay, and you'd known each other how long?
Since I was 13, so like 15 years.
So, and her fiance is what to you?
A close friend. We're not related.
Okay.
He calls me Ma, but he's a disabled veteran, and we started helping him out. He's like a brother to my daughter.
Okay. So, like a son to you.
Right.
Is how you phrased it. All right.
Yeah.
But so you decide to look. So the two of them call you. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
And the two of them are on the phone.
They're on the speakerphone.
And they tell you. So did they ask you to borrow the money?
Yeah. They wanted to know if we could help them out.
Right. Help them out. And what did you say?
I said we already helped them out with her wedding gown, which when we went to buy the wedding gown, I said, all right, you guys pay the first $1,000. We'll pay the balance. Well, that didn't happen. We got a phone call from them. They're arguing, saying, who's actually paying for the gown? I said, you know what, just forget it. I'll pay for the gown.
How much did you pay for the gown?
It was, I think, around $1,300 or $1,400.
Okay. So
now we get the call about the venue. So when they called, I said, listen, I don't have...
How come you weren't paying for your own wedding dress?
So we were going to take a credit card out for it. My ex-husband came and he was going to, put it out on, and she offered, and I have in writing that it was simply a gift.
How do you have it in writing?
It's in the communications that I submitted, that it was a gift.
Okay, right, because in some minds, if you don't have the money for it, maybe you don't have a $1,400 wedding dress.
I mean, we were going to charge it and...
Yeah. All right, so go ahead.
So anyway, when they needed the money for the venue, I said, listen, I don't have the cash. We cannot afford this payment. I'm still paying off on the dress.
Well, that's the other thing. If you can't afford to buy the dress, don't, because it's a $1,400 wedding. If I told my mother at the time that I got married that I wanted a $1,400 wedding dress, I can't even imagine. I mean, most people don't get that, and I realize that there's people with $10,000 or $20,000 wedding dresses. I just don't get that. But apparently you two do, because you're picking it out and you're buying it, even though you don't have the money and even though you don't have the money. All right, go on.
All right, so I said, listen, I have a credit card, zero balance. I will let you pay the last.
Who did you
payment.
say that to?
It was Shy and Bailey on
They're both on the phone.
Speakerphone,
Okay.
and we're on speakerphone.
Okay.
I said, I can let you do that. They said, all right, we would be able to pay you back with the wedding money, the gifts we get from the wedding, and then.
When did they get married?
Halloween weekend.
And when did they separate?
I don't even know because.
How long were you guys married?
We were only married for 3 months. We got
3
married
months.
October 29th, 2021, and I left on January 22nd of 2022.
Okay. So in those 3 months, did you ever say, hey, wedding over, you got your gifts, can I get paid back?
What happened was October, we waited November, figuring, all right, you got to wait for some checks to clear, whatever.
Yeah.
Then we ran into Christmas.
Well, we don't run into Christmas. Many days pass. Christmas
Yes.
doesn't slap us in November.
Yes.
So many days pass. So you never asked to be paid back until after these two broke up.
Right.
Right. How long after they broke up did you ask to get paid?
I didn't ask to get paid.
You filed a lawsuit.
That was in August because in January 17th, I fell on the ice and broke my ankle in 7 places. It wound up with 15 pins and rods.
Oh, jeez.
So I was laid up until July with this injury. So I wasn't even concerned about it.
Have you ever asked Shy for the money back?
Well, Shai's a disabled veteran. He's not working. He has no income at all. And when I did talk to him about it, he said the wedding money, they went to the bank together, put all the money into an account, and apparently Bailey was taking the money out of the account. So there was no money left out of the
When was the
wedding.
first time you brought it up to Shy?
It was after
Yeah.
I fell. So
So during your recuperation or after your
it
recuperation?
was during. It must have been like May.
Does he live with you?
No.
Now, during this interim time, at some point, she has a lawyer call you to ask you for the wedding dress. Tell me about that. When did that happen?
What happened was at the wedding, I worked for a dry cleaner. So I said, give me the wedding gown and I will have it dry cleaned, and the train was ripped off. So I said, I'll have it fixed and dry cleaned and reserved for you. As
Right. I have my wedding dress. We're going to go on our 30th year anniversary, and my wedding dress in that box has not been opened. I assume it's ashes in there. I can't even imagine. Oh, how do they preserve? What magic thing do they do that they quote preserve it? It's just something they spray it with? What is it?
I have no idea.
Right. And it's expensive, too.
And they're not even doing
And
it.
what was I thinking? I weighed like 100 pounds. I don't know anybody who's going to wear that dress again. You know,
Yeah, they're
none of
not
my
even-
kids. My kids are healthy. They have a healthy attitude, you know. She had a lawyer called you, and you found that you were a little bit off-put by that.
That's when I actually found out that they were even getting divorced.
What do you mean?
I didn't know anything about it.
He didn't tell you?
No, I didn't really speak to him.
When did you get the call from the lawyer?
In May.
So it had been months that she had left, 5 months, and he had never told her, you guys aren't that close.
Well, no, because I was laid up. I wasn't.
Well, no, you were
talking to
laid up.
anybody.
He should come and visit you and tell you, I hate being the bearer of bad news, but we split up something. I mean,
We didn't have anybody coming to the house.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I was stuck for 8 weeks.
In a
just
wheelchair.
in a recliner.
No, I know. That's when I want everybody at my house, when I'm in a wheelchair. I want everybody in a semicircle entertaining me. But, all right. Okay, so a lawyer calls you and tells you my client would like her wedding dress. And you say,
As soon as I could
why didn't you
drive-
call her?
Well, I reached out 2 times before that and got a little bit of a runaround that she couldn't give it to me. So finally, my
But had you ever reached out and said to her, we broke up?
Yes,
Oh, you did? Yeah.
twice.
Twice?
Twice.
And when did you do that?
So originally when I left on the 22nd of January, I messaged her saying, I'm leaving my ex-husband, I can't take it anymore, I'm gonna file for a divorce. Then in February again, I reached out and said, I'm still filing for a divorce when my wedding dress is done, can you reach directly out to me? And so both those times I told her I was divorcing
And did she
him.
respond or no?
She did.
And what did she say?
She stated she understood. She just couldn't give me my wedding dress then because she was still injured, and she would always like postpone the date on when I could have my wedding dress
Okay,
back.
so you had the lawyer contact her. Did you get your wedding dress first of all?
I did.
Okay, so that's not an issue. The issue is this money. According to her,
Correct.
the two of you called and asked for them to pay it. She would like you to pay it back. And she has the option of doing that because if the two of you called and asked for the money, then you're both debtors on this and you're both what we call jointly and severally liable under the eyes of the law. That would mean she could sue whoever she wants. She likes him, I guess, and she's not so keen on you, so she's chosen you, which she can do. But now, tell me what happened with that payment. How did that come about?
Okay, so initially I was not on speakerphone. I never had anything to do with this. Actually, I made my ex-husband in charge of that $1,500 that was left because I took 3 loans out of my name already. So I was like, okay, a day later, he comes home, credit card in hand. How do I charge it on there? So I sat down with him, showed him how to charge it onto the credit card. Never mentioned that there was a loan, a repayment, anything of that sort. He charged it, we moved on, we got married, we stayed in contact.
At any point in time was she saying, hey, you owe me money?
No. So then when I leave in January, I ask her for my wedding dress. She says, no problem, never mentions the money. Again in February, never mentions the money. I reach out in May after my lawyer did. She never mentioned.
Actually, she tells your lawyer, tell her to call me directly, and you do.
I do. I messaged her over Facebook and said, look, I'm sorry that she contacted you. I just wanted a date. She said maybe mid-June. So June comes and goes. I reach out in July and said, look, I want my wedding dress.
Why do you want your wedding dress so badly?
Just,
To sell it?
yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be. I hope that's it, because otherwise, I'm wondering why you're so desperate for a memory of a 2-month wedding, of a 2-month marriage.
Even at one point in May, I said, look, I understand you bought it. If you want to keep it, that's fine. But my mother gave me a brooch that I wore on my wedding dress. I said, I just really want that back. She's like, oh, I don't want it. I don't need it. You can have it back.
Okay.
So she said, fine, you can have it July. It was the end of July. We met at a local police department.
At a police department? Why was that necessary?
She thought that because there was cameras, if there was any issues, my lawyer could see the camera.
Okay.
And I said, okay, thanks, have a great day. Then she called me some vulgar names. We get in the car.
Oh, wait, she called you vulgar names?
Yeah.
What did she call you? Had you had words with her at all before that?
No. My mom was even there with me, sitting next to me. And I was like, thanks, have a great day. She's like, you. And I was like, oh, okay. So we just got in the car, drove away.
Right. Now, talk to me about the wedding money. According to her, Shai says you stole all the wedding money.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting. Go to your happy place for a happy price with Priceline's Black Friday sale. Save now and travel later with our best deals of the year.
Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Looking for a pickup truck to get just about anything done? Look no further. The Chevy Silverado EV isn't just the most powerful Silverado ever, with next-level towing capability and technology. It also offers game-changing versatility with the available multi-flex midgate and tailgate, which means Silverado EV helps you carry large, bulky, and oddly shaped items up to nearly 11 feet in length. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Visit Chevrolet.com to learn more.
So my divorce was just finalized. The judge just signed it today, so I sent that over.
Today?
Today.
Oh, that was timely.
So actually something that I fought for was part of my wedding money back.
Because he
took it. And I was granted that in my divorce, and he deposited.
Okay, hold on. Show me that.
So this is the deposit of his, of the wedding money. It's the highlighted ones. It's like $3,595.
Yep.
In here, it actually says, judgment was entered to the defendant in the favor of the plaintiff is $1,562.
Which is half of this amount?
Which was half of that amount. So I was just awarded that. So he had the full amount in his bank account. And I never got a dime of it.
Why are you shaking your head? That means the judge looked at the bank accounts and made this decision. Judgment is entered against the defendant. The defendant is Shai. in favor of the plaintiff, she's the plaintiff, in the amount of $1,562.25. That means he had the money and she wanted the half of it. Said sum represents 50% of the wedding gifts retained by the defendant. I mean, the judge actually found that. Well, I'm just telling you.
I didn't know about it.
I understand what he told you. Now I'm telling you what the judge discovered after looking at all the bank account records and stuff. So that's eye-opening, right? Okay.
May I say something else?
Yeah.
He also, he made 2 payments to that credit card to her.
To her?
To her. One is $50 and one is $150. That there was a new fee and
why am I seeing payments from? See, they subpoenaed Shai's business, his bank account, and in it shows that he's paying this credit card. He pays $50 once, the credit card in question, and $150 another time. And then, did you give credit for those payments in your lawsuit?
No.
Okay.
Because I didn't see him.
So, and according to you, he's the one who borrowed the money.
Correct.
Because you had already pulled out all these loans.
Yes.
And all these loans are still in your name.
Yes.
And you're still paying them off.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you sell the wedding dress?
No, not yet.
When you do, are you going to mention the bad juju of the wedding dress?
No, I don't. No, I just want someone to buy it.
Right. I'm not sure that would be a big selling point. Ms. Messino, tell me about the police department encounter. Did you kind of lose your control and insult her?
No.
I was there.
You
I
were
went
there?
with her.
And
I didn't hear anything. It was very quick. She just made sure she was in front of a camera.
Uh-huh.
I worked there for 35 years, so I knew there was cameras where we were.
This way, no one could say she didn't get the brooch or the dress.
Right.
But I have a Facebook message from her where I said, did you make this? And she said, yes.
Oh, let's talk about that.
She did it.
Hold on. And let's see exactly what you're talking about. Facebook messages. Did you guys charge $14.50 on our credit card to AARMARK? The credit card company's just trying to verify it was us and not fraud. I'm assuming that may be the aquarium. Is that the venue?
The venue, yeah.
Right. Yes. And she says, yes, it's the venue. Sorry, Shai told me I could.
Which means she did it.
Yeah, it means she did it, and it means that she wasn't on that phone originally.
Yes, she was.
If she's saying,
no, she said,
sorry, Shai told me I could, then the one who gave her the credit card information was Shai.
No,
That's why she's saying, sorry, Shai told me I could, with a question mark, like, did I misunderstand Shai? Is there something wrong? Why would, if she was on that phone conversation, why would she say, sorry, Shai told me I could? Because clearly, Shai's the guy who talked to you and then told her that she could.
Nope, she was on the phone.
Then why would she say, sorry, Shai told me I could, instead of, yeah, you told me I could?
Because she thought he was going to do it. He obviously didn't do it. She did it.
What difference does it make who plugs in the numbers? You're asking if a charge was made on your credit card, and the woman is saying to you, sorry, Shai told me I could. Like, oh, my God, what did I do wrong? You know? Like maybe Shai wasn't being honest or something, and she was now scared because she's the one who inputted it. You say you didn't even input it.
No, my husband did. But I helped him.
Whatever. It doesn't matter who inputted it. It matters who got the loan. And the word sorry, Shai told me I could pretty much tells me what I need to know.
All I know is I lent them the money.
Right, and that's the rub. You need to prove you lent them the money and not Shai. And that Facebook message tells me the opposite of what you're saying. But also, you would still need to prove it. You can't just say something. Now, I understand that in this kind of relationship, you might not get a promissory note, but there might be a text or an email or something. And it turns out there is. There's a message. And in the message, sorry, Shai told me I could means not you told me I could. It means Shai told me I could, which tells me that it's the way she says, and that, in fact, she was never on that phone call, and you're just angry that you put all this money and faith into this couple, and then she left him. I'm ruling in favor of the defendant in this case.
So the judge determines the defendant is not liable in this case, and so the plaintiffs lose. Let's see what they have to say.
I have nothing to say.
No comment?
Nope.
Nothing to say?
Absolutely not.
Is there anything more you can do?
No. Pay the bill.
What do you think, Mr. Messina?
Pay the bill.
No comment.
No comment. All right, you don't have to comment. I'm sure you're not thrilled, though.
Oh, no, we'll just pay the bill and move on. And thank God she's out of our lives. We love
then
him.
you got to talk to him about it.
No, we'll just pay the bill. How are you going to get money out of a disabled vet with no job?
Okay.
We're
good
done.
enough. All right. So Bailey is off the hook. Bailey, how do you feel about this?
I'm very happy. I feel great about it.
Do you ever hear from Shy now?
No, I do not.
And I gather you don't want to.
No, not really.
And your divorce went through today, so congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay, you're off the hook. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Harvey?
Well, Doug, I think the key to this case is permission. The fact is there was permission to use the credit card, and that pretty much torpedoes everything. So, that's what you got to prove when an issue like this is in dispute.
What do you do with your dog when you're taping the show?
Oh my gosh, we have a dog sitter. We have a couple of dog sitters depending on who's available.
Right.
And right now she's with a dog sitter named Kate, who we call it Doggy Disney over there because she owns this beautiful big property.
Huge yard.
Huge yard,
Right.
and my dog
Room to roam.
loves being there, as sad as she gets when we're gone.
Plus, she really is fond of her dog, Rupert.
Oh yeah,
right?
the dog.
So
Our
they hang
dog
out
loves
together.
one of her. She has 3 dogs there,
Right.
2 dogs, 2 more. I don't know. It's Doggy Disney over there. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
But you've had her here.
Oh yeah.
So in fact, we've got some interesting photos of her here on the bench with you.
Right. We brought her up. What was it? Last month. Right.
And that was quite the adventure because you and I drove last month for the first time.
We drove with her,
Right.
fully expecting to stop somewhere in D.C. or Baltimore.
Right. It was
no
a 3-day
room at the
weekend.
inn.
Right. So where did we end up sleeping that night, Marilyn?
The People's Court.
That's right.
We
right
actually
here in
slept
this
here. We got
building.
here at 3 in the morning, and you had the genius idea that let's just stay at the People's Court. And we finally we got. And there were no hotel rooms in Connecticut. There were no hotel rooms anywhere.
But-
and by now it was too late to wake up my producer and say, "I'm outside your door at 1 in the morning," or your brother or anybody else whose houses we were driving by, and we were just
So we
a
came
mess.
here, and you have a sofa, like a sectional in your chambers, and I have a sofa in my chambers.
Right.
So I went to my chambers, went to sleep, and
Had
you and the
best
dog.
sleep ever.
Right, and you and the dog slept on your sofa, right?
Yep.
That wasn't so bad.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
This is the plaintiff, Carlos Perez. He says he brought his leashed dog to the park, and the defendant's dog attacked his dog, and one of them bit his leg, injuring it. He now has a puncture wound in his leg, and his dog sustained a 6-inch injury to his stomach. He's clearly owed the $3,000 he's suing for today for vet bills and pain and suffering, and will be seeking just that from the judge today in this court. These are the defendants, Harvey and Alana Benton. Alana says she was in the park with her dogs off the leash, which they're allowed to be. She says when the plaintiff started approaching her, she told him to stop while she put their leashes on. The plaintiff ignored her request, and a fight ensued. None of this would have happened if the plaintiff listened to her, and they feel they're not responsible for any of the injuries. They're accused of a big doggy dilemma.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff says the defendant's unleashed dog attacked his little dog, but won't pay for his vet bills. Now, the defendants say they were in a dog park where dogs are allowed to be off leash, and they owe nothing because, dogs will be dogs. It's the case of a doggone dilemma.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Perez, you are suing Mr. Benton, and is this your daughter?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Okay, your daughter, his daughter, Ms. Benton, for $3,000 in vet bills. What happened?
On the January 4th, I went to take my dog out for a walk at around 7 o'clock to the park.
Okay, when we say the park, is this a dog park or a regular park?
It's a public park.
Okay.
And in the public park, there's a sign that clearly says, leash your animals at all times. That's a fact. And they have signs all over posted. So I always keep my dog leashed. And anyway, I walked the dog down there, like I always do, around the perimeter of the park. They have like the grassy area in the middle where they have the field and the asphalt side. So I was walking across the, around the perimeter, heading towards home at this time. And then I saw from a distance, the girl was having issues with the dog.
What kind of issues was she having?
It looked like she was trying to leash them because from the distance that I saw that she would look like she was trying to put the leash back on them.
How many dogs does she have?
2.
How old are you, Alana?
I am 16.
16. And what kind of dogs did you have with you? What are your dogs?
Blue nose pit bulls.
Pit bulls. And how big are the pit bulls?
I don't know exact size, but...
I mean, are they full grown?
Are they?
They're, what you can say, full grown for females. I mean, they're small dogs.
How small are they? You're going like this, like it's a poodle. I've never met a pit bull this big.
Want to see them?
Yes, I do.
Come, Blue in Brooklyn. Hey, mommy, come on, come here, come. Hey.
Okay, there we go. Yep, full grown. All right, so she's trying to put the leash on them, and Alana, why were they off leash?
They were using the bathroom in the grass.
They can't use a bathroom with a leash on?
Oh yes, they were stretching their legs out. They were running around.
Okay, but is this a dog park?
It's delayed. Yes, it's a public park.
A public park is not a dog park. A dog park, dogs are allowed to run around. There's certain rules and regulations. Everyone assumes the risk when they go in there. This is a regular public park, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're not supposed to have the dogs off leash, right?
Yes.
Right. So, and why is it always pit bulls that are off leash? How is this?
Consistent, though.
Well, why is it so consistent? What happens, Mr. Perez?
So as I was approaching her, she said something, but I was at a distance at around 200 feet, so I really couldn't hear her. And so I kept walking a little bit more, and then she said it again. And she said,
was she talking to you? Could you tell she was talking to you?
She was talking to me.
Right. And didn't you see that she was struggling to put a collar on 2 loose pit bulls?
It looked like they were playing. So it looked like, like dogs that are loose, and she's just trying to put.
Yeah, but she's yelling something to you. What do you think? Like, in other words, draw the picture, okay? 2 dogs bouncing around. She's trying to put a leash on, and she's talking to you. Like, how do you?
Well, initially, I didn't know she was talking to me because the thing was, I'm 200 feet away. So she's saying something. I don't know if she's talking to the dog or to me. So I'm walking a little bit more. And at 175 feet away, I understood she said, give her a second, and I stood my ground from 175 feet until she gets done leashing up the dogs. So that's a pretty long distance. So.
And what happened? The dogs ran all that distance?
So at that point, the dog didn't notice anything until about maybe 10 seconds, or 15 seconds. They noticed my little dog, they spotted him, and then they ran up to him.
The 175 feet that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. So your dogs, did both dogs get away from you, Alana?
No, they did not.
Well, how did the bite happen? How did the attack happen?
Mr. Perez was in front of me when it happened. My dogs did not approach him. He approached me.
Okay, so
he told me it was okay.
Okay.
That is incorrect.
Okay, but I want to hear Alana's version. Go ahead.
Okay.
You weren't there, right, Mr. Benton? You weren't there?
No,
I got it.
No, Your Honor.
Okay,
I was not there.
Go ahead, Alana.
The dogs were off the leash. I was putting them on a leash, and I did tell him, give me a minute. I was putting him on a leash, and he kept approaching. He continued to approach me, and then he bent down towards my dogs, and my dogs did not see his dog. His dog was behind him. And I was still putting him on a leash, and I was like, no, like, you need to get your dog because they're not gonna be friendly. He's like, no, it's okay. And then when he tried to pet them, that's when the attack happened, and my 2 dogs attacked his dog.
Okay.
After they've seen him.
And what did you want to respond to that, Mr. Perez?
That is completely incorrect. I wouldn't be petting anybody's dogs, first of all. Those dogs came running up to my dog. They surrounded him. And then she came about 5 to 7 seconds later. I guess she must have ran. And she whispers in my ear, practically. She's saying it real low, pick up your dog. And I go, what's going on? And she goes, I says, call them back. Because what happened is at that moment...
Had the dogs bitten your dog at that point?
No. But there's.
Why didn't you pick up? What kind of dog do you have?
It's a Pomeranian.
So it's a tiny little dog. If you see two pit bulls approaching, and they've
they were already there.
Listen, they're already there. So two pit bulls are there. They haven't bit your dog yet. Why does someone have to tell you to pick up your dog? Wouldn't it make sense that you would want to pick up your dog? Like, why don't you pick up that tiny little Pomeranian?
At that point, I had my hand in front and blocking the aggressiveness of her dogs.
Oh, how'd that work out? Oh, wait. How did your hand fare against two pit bulls and a Pomeranian? Might as well have a sign that says lunch around the Pomeranian's neck. That didn't work so well, your hand, right? That's like when my mother used to say, go like this. It would mean my mother. I did that to my kids, too. In the car, that hand's really going to stop me from going through the windshield. I mean, come on. Pick up your dog the next time. It's not your fault. I'm just saying, do what you can so the dog doesn't get eaten. What ended up happening to your dog?
The problem was, if I pick up my dog, they're going to go and jump on him. So I wanted her to call them back as I try to protect him.
She has no control of the dogs, so you can't rely on her. So the thing to do is to pick up your dog. They may attack you, but the dog will probably, survive.
I did eventually pick up the dog.
Yeah.
I had to fight the dog back because they were pouncing on top of him practically. So as I picked them up, that's when the savageness started to occur. Then they started jumping up and grabbing him with the teeth, because pit bulls are powerful animals. So they grab, and I didn't want that to happen. But she didn't have a command to pull them back.
So what happened to your dog?
I had no choice. So I had at one point I had hit her dog a few times so they can back off. She was hitting the other dog with the chain, and I saw a little clearance. I picked them up, and at that point when I picked them up, they grabbed with his teeth a different part of his body, and I can feel the weight of my dog and their dog at the same time. And I kept telling her, call them back, call them back. She couldn't do it. Eventually, I picked the dog above my head in this fashion.
If your dogs that's what I would have done from the beginning. But Ilana, if your dogs don't listen to you, why the heck would you have them off leash at the park, both of them at the same time? I mean, they're not particularly obedient because they're not listening to you telling them to heel and to stop the attack. Mr. Benton, why do you leave that tiny little thing in charge of two pit bulls? And did you know that she had them loose in the park? Mr. Benton?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, one thing, we don't walk the dogs with a chain, so that's incorrect, Mr. Perez.
No, apparently you don't worry about anything like chains or leashes at all. My question to you is, did you know?
Leash.
Right. Did you know that she had them off leash in a public park?
Yes.
Yeah, you can't do that. Where did you get the idea you could do that?
It's common.
It's not so common for people to do, heroin in the street in some places, but that doesn't make it legal. You don't have the right to have your dog off leash. You don't. And when you do, then you're going to pay consequences for it. But more importantly...
Perez didn't have his dog on... Mr. Perez had his dog on a leash, but he didn't have the leash in his hand. So the dog was walking... without Ms. Perez
you weren't there, and so I'm going to hand the floor over to Ilana. What is your dad saying here? What is this comment that Mr. Perez wasn't holding on to the leash?
Mr. Perez did have his dog on a leash, but his dog was roaming in front. Like, the leash wasn't.
You mean it wasn't taut? You mean it wasn't tight, or you mean it wasn't in his hand?
No,
what do you mean?
The leash was in his hand. Like, the handle wasn't in the hand, but the leash was on the dog.
Right, but then where's the other end of the leash?
The other end of the leash was not in his hand.
Where was it? On the ground, you mean?
Yes.
So
that doesn't make sense.
Well, I've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but I have seen it. Yeah. What ends up happening to the Pomeranian, Mr. Perez?
He sustained 3 severe injuries. One was by the lower part of his abdomen. There was like a 6 to 7 inch gap wound. You can see the underlying tissue, which is the fatty area. And then that had to be sewn up, and that was quite a few stitches they had to give. And then he was able to close it up. And then that was one injury. The second injury, that picture right there shows the Achilles tendon, which was exposed. And then the third injury was the puncture wound. As you can see, the bite mark, and one of the canine tooth punctured his muscle on the leg.
What is this a picture of? Your dog's blood on your jacket?
Yes. As I picked him up over my head, he was bleeding on me.
All right. You brought your dog into the vet, and that vet bill was $1,385.08?
Yes.
And was there any follow-up visits?
There was two more follow-ups.
Did you submit that evidence here as well?
Yes. I think it's listed as $85 together, both of them combined.
I see that the police were called. Did you folks ever receive a citation from the police?
No, ma'am.
Is the total of the vet bills actually expended the $1,385.08?
Yeah, it expands to.
Yeah, but is that all of the vet bills?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was asking. And then you're suing for an additional $1,614.92 for the dog's pain and suffering.
Yes.
Okay, explain that.
Well, it's punitive damage.
That's different than the dog's pain and suffering. What would be the, so, okay, first of all, you wouldn't get pain and suffering because it's a dog. That's not,
right.
Available.
But,
so if you're saying it's punitive damages, then punitive damages occur when someone does something on purpose. Do you really think she did this on purpose?
No, it wasn't done on purpose.
I know. All right. You don't get pain and suffering in a case like this. You absolutely get every penny of your vet bills. I am ordering the defendants to pay $1,385.08 to the plaintiffs to cover the vet bills. I'm not buying that dog wasn't on a leash, the dog that he was walking. And under no circumstances, even if I bought every single word Alana said, that he doesn't have control of his dog, and you certainly don't have control of yours, and yours do all the attacking, I think I pretty much know how it went down here. And I just don't understand why it's always, it's just always the kind of dog that shouldn't be loose because they have such a powerful gut instinct to clamp and not let go, and the things that pit bulls are known for. I don't know why it's always the pit bull owners who are just letting, maybe that's just because those are the ones who end up attacking and the others just sniff each other's behinds. But I don't know. Just, I wish, every time it happens, it gives the pit bulls a bad name, as opposed to the pit bull owners a bad name, which is what it should be doing. $1,385.08, verdict for the plaintiff.
So the plaintiff is going to get the vet bills covered. He doesn't get pain and suffering for the dog, so it's almost $1,400 he's going to get back. Mr. Benton, let me ask you how you feel about the judge's decision, and Alana, too. What do you think? Let's talk to both of you.
Well, the judge's decision, I believe, was very unfair because Mr. Perez had no control over his dog. My daughter, from 200 feet, did direct Mr. Perez not to come. And
listen, I agree with you. I agree with you. I think it was foolish for him to walk toward you, but still the bottom line is your dog's attacked his dog, and you're responsible. Mr. Perez, they do have a point. You really should have stopped and turned around and gone the other way. Don't you think so?
She said, give her a minute, and I was 175 feet away, and I gave it that minute. I waited, and those dogs got away from her.
How is your dog right now, by the way?
He's okay. He recovered.
He'll be fine. Okay, good enough. That's good news.
Okay, Doug, there is a law in most cities, most big cities in particular, that dogs out in public have to be on leashes. That said, it's a little tricky with dog parks, especially if there are signs that say dogs can be off leash, and especially if it's a dog park owned by the city. So that is tricky. I would check those signs, but I got to say, if you look at a dog that might be a little vicious, maybe don't go there.
In small claims court, generally, which is more likely to be awarded, punitive damages or pain and suffering?
Pain and suffering is awarded by a judge to compensate someone for something that they've gone through and had to endure.
Or a jury.
Or a jury.
Yeah.
And Punitive damages, on the other hand, are meant to punish, to make an example of someone, to deter future bad conduct by a business or a person. And in my experience, not granted very often in small claims court.
Not granted very often.
Definitely pain and suffering, depending on the case.
Pain and suffering, everybody always throws in a pain and suffering count.
Right.
It's not, like you can't have pain and suffering on a contracts case. It has to be on a personal injury kind of thing.
Right.
Where
you can't get it on a contract case.
No
well,
contracts.
I suffered dearly.
I suffered dearly because I had to come to court and I didn't want to.
Not that people won't ask for it.
No, they'll ask for it all the time, but it needs to be an injury case.
Right, and the other thing about punitive damages that kind of restricts judges and juries from just tossing them around willy-nilly is that states all have different common law or statutory rules that restrict how judges can grant them. You might have to have a higher burden of proof. You might have to have certain kinds of conduct.
A separate hearing, potentially.
A separate hearing. There are all kinds of complications. There's even some states that say when punitive damages are awarded, the state gets a cut of the punitive damage
That's so
awards.
weird.
I know. It sounds absurd, but, they're all different. It's a patchwork. We have 50 states, and there's a patchwork quilt of rules on punitive damages.
So thanks for joining us. We will see you for the next session of the People's Court.